Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? This is Amanda. I hope that you're well. So today is the 20th of January, and this would have been one of my sort of daily videos that I normally put up on Instagram and Facebook, but I think I'm going to put this up on YouTube because it's going to be longer than 15 minutes, and the subjects that we're going to be looking at deserve a little bit more time. They are also very interesting. So let's get to it. In this video, I'm going to take a look at the situation in Ukraine and the coming Russian invasion there. Quite a precarious situation in our world that needs light worker energy absolutely going in there. I'm going to talk a little bit more about evidence of the falling patriarchal energies in our world, with some reference to a couple of the big players. I also would like to talk about the Canadian trucker strike or action that they're taking to stand up against mandatory you-know-whats, and how that energy links to what I channeled through for Australia when the Australian truckers tried to do a similar thing about, I don't know, 3, 4, 6 months ago. And I'd also like to talk about cognitive dissonance and mass psychosis, or at least dip my toe into the water on that subject. I mean, that could be actually one for another day because it's a huge subject. I will just say that Metatron has been asking me to talk about the subject of mass hypnosis, mass psychosis for a little while. And I suppose I have already dipped my toe in the water because a couple of videos back, if you have watched them, I did a video called Breaking the Spell, Pandemic to Endemic. But that wasn't just about the potentiality of us moving from pandemic to endemic. It was also about breaking the spell in terms of our addiction to the story of the last 2 years, and maybe the very entrenched side that we have been on with regard to different aspects of it, okay? And it's fascinating in many ways because I was stumbling around on YouTube, as you do, last night, and I saw another video about this subject. I'm not going to say who it was by because I'm not going to get into any sort of slanging match here. And in fact, as I look out, it's quite interesting. There's 2 pigeons sitting on a branch of my tree outside my window. And it's almost like they're saying, yes, we can coexist quite peacefully. It's like, you know, Peter and Paul energy, the 2 Ps. But yeah, I found this video last night and I went to watch it. And then I realised it wasn't what I thought it was, because effectively what it was trying to do was label people like me, maybe you, maybe not, as the ones who are under mass psychosis and mass hypnotism, you know, the ones that have supposedly fallen down the rabbit holes. I've not fallen down any rabbit hole, you know, and actually I've done a lot of work over last year in particular. I put out a couple of videos for people that are new to my channel of, if you do fall down a rabbit hole, here is the guidance in terms of how to get yourself out of it. And Metatron, I remember he was putting his hand down the rabbit hole to retrieve people who'd gone down too deep. Okay, it's not to say it's wrong to explore other theories that are out there, but if you get stuck in it, it can get very dark. So I'm down no rabbit hole. But anyway, I realised that it was more directed at people like me who, you know, I guess people misinterpret a lot of the time for some of the stances we have. And then I noticed in the comments my name was coming up, and it was like, yeah, we used to like her, but she's gone, you know, she's gone to the other side. And I thought, oh God, this is going to be much harder to try and bring through the bridge of reconciliation, because both sides of the camp think that the other side is in mass psychosis, okay? And so it's like, what do you do with that? Ultimately, I think what you need to do with that is bring in the higher power to knock our heads together, you know, as a collective. And it's like, you know, come on, let's start seeing things from the same script or the same book. And that script and that book should always be the book of love, you know. Funnily enough, today I'm actually going to be channeling some words for the Holy Spirit card in the New Christ Consciousness deck. I will show you the picture because it's actually right behind me. But this is the painting that Jane's done for the Holy Spirit. That's what needs to come in, you know, quite clearly to our world, because at the moment there are people on both sides of the debate that are not listening to each other and are just labelling each other. So I'll try and do something on that another day. Let's get to these three big subjects then: Ukraine, Canada and patriarchy. My last video that I did on YouTube, I very briefly looked at the Ukrainian situation and I pulled this card. Okay, I pulled that card, which is the Six of Wands, and it's the card of victory. Usually, you know, in a tarot deck, the Six of Wands is linked into victory. And the only other message that came through last time when I looked at it was the looming war there is a distraction. If you don't know what's going on, there are, I don't know, there's hundreds of thousands of Russian troops on the border at Ukraine. It's a very volatile situation. Certainly here in the UK yesterday, there was stuff in the papers about, because I live near the coast, you see, people, I don't know if it was my part of the coast, but people seeing Russian ships on the way, you know, from, I don't know, they were passing through our waters. Quite how they were doing that, I don't know. But anyway, that's not the point. We have this dangerous situation in our world that could escalate. So let's have a look at it. When I go back to this card today, the card of Six of Wands and victory, I'm hearing keep the red flag flying, okay, which is obviously a nod to Russia. Keep the red flag flying. And it makes me wonder, over and above a power grab and a land grab, what is going on in Putin's mind to want to try and do this now? And I think it's tied into a last gasp stab at maintaining this very patriarchal energy in our world. What he is doing is a big reflection of what a lot of the other ones are doing, but at different levels. They're not necessarily waging war on another country or about to, but they may be waging war on parts of their population, etc. Okay, so you can take it in many different ways. I mean, our Prime Minister here, Boris Johnson, is looking unlikely to survive. He is clinging on desperately to his position of power at the moment, with many of his MPs just saying go. In fact, one of the leading, I don't know, people who spoke up yesterday, one of his own MPs was saying, look, for God's sake, man, just go. And he said, no, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go even if you raise a motion against me in terms of no confidence. I'm still not going. And he's launched, this is all relevant to Putin, by the way, he's launched this campaign to try and save his skin, which is called, I mean, get this, think about the patriarchy, okay? Think about these men who hold a very patriarchal energy, which is not 5D Earth, okay? He's called the operation to save his own political career, Operation Red Meat. Yes, I'm not making it up. It's called Operation Red Meat. It takes me back to prehistoric man gnawing on a bone, you know, it's literally like Neanderthal man. I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, but that's what I get. Operation Red Meat to protect and maintain his position is what he's coming up with. I don't think it's probably going to work. It's also, by the way, got nothing to do actually with meat. It's just an analogy. But, you know, who came up with that term? It says everything to me. It says absolutely everything. So we've got Boris in one corner with his Operation Red Meat, and then we've got Putin with his weapons, which is not a funny matter at all. Neither of them are funny, actually. and I'm hearing keep the red flag flying. So should we just pull a couple of cards for what the hell is going on with Putin? I have looked at Vladimir Putin before, and he's a very interesting energy. And I remember his energy when I was channeling it through. Yes, I mean, it's very dualistic. Was he head of the was he ex-head of the KGB or something like that? I mean, he's got links to that, hasn't he? So, you know, he can't be a saint. He can't be a saint because there are things that they do within those type of organizations. There is this bloodthirsty aspect to him, but then there's this other aspect to him, which is much softer. You know, he loves animals. A lot of his people love him. I must admit, when I was in his energy, there was part of me that was like, yeah, I'd quite like to sit, I'd be okay sitting down with this guy. He's a real mixed bag. He's a real mixed bag, but he definitely also holds this very sort of like macho energy, this very patriarchal energy. It's like the father of Russia type energy. You know, he has the photo shoots, doesn't he, with the bare chest, and it literally is almost like Tarzan type energy. It's like, you know, it's very similar to the Boris energy. Operation Red Meat in one corner with Boris, and then we've got Putin in the other corner, literally, you know, doing the Tarzan cry, about to go into a different land, a sovereign land. Maybe I don't even need the cards to tell me what's going to be going on. I mean, actually, the bottom of the deck, we've got the Chariot card. And look, again, what I want to call him the Emperor is wearing, what colour he's got there as he charges in. And it's what I said. He's got this really dualistic energy. There is a side of him which is good, and there's a side of him that is not. And again, from memory, when I channeled, I was picking up a very strong galactic energy that he holds. Came in with a very focused mission. Went rogue, basically. It's like there's an aspect of him that goes rogue. Now, the question is, has he completely 100% gone rogue? Or is this just an aspect of his multidimensional self which is going rogue, and it can be hauled back in? You know, at the end of the day, I see this as him charging in with the red flag, okay, for Mother Russia, keep the red flag flying, all of that. But there's two horses here. One is this is the white horse of, the way I'm interpreting it today, of purity, I want to say, of light. And this other horse feels more of a darker energy. And it's like, which horse is actually going to lead him? Which horse is going to lead him? You might not be able to see on the card, but there's a full moon there as well. There's a full moon in the background of those buildings. And those buildings look almost quite like a Russian scape. Can you see those with the turrets? It almost looks a bit like the Kremlin. That's the sign of Cancer there, in between the two hands. Cancer full moon. We've just had a Cancer full moon, haven't we? Beginning of this week. So this feels like it's this week's energy. Where are we? We're on Thursday. I think this is going to be playing out in the next few days. We've got the card of strength as well. You know, he feels as though he's in a very strong position. I'm talking Putin. He's in a very strong position. The lion wants to roar. This is sacral energy. This is sacral energy. This almost feels like misplaced, misdirected sacral energy that he's holding. He's raging. He's raging about something. I'm almost feeling like he's raging against something, and it's within him. And it may be something that's also been happening to him personally, and he's wanting to take it out on the world. This is an unhealed sacral energy within him that is raging against the world. And interestingly, as I look now, this is a woman raging against the divine feminine energy. Operation Red Meat with Boris, okay? And here now we've got this man, Putin, raging against the divine feminine energy. I don't know much about, I don't know anything about Ukrainian politics, so I don't know whether there's a powerful woman within Ukraine. If there is, then that's part of it, but I think this is energetic as well. Okay, what can you tell us, Spirit, about this situation with Putin, please? Let me pull one more card for Putin, and then I'll pull a card for Ukraine. I've got the Sun. I think that card is more linked into Ukraine. The sun wanting to shine on the land. The people just wanting to be free, basically, and returning to happier times. Let me clarify, guys. The Emperor. It's almost like I can't even ask the question. The cards are just flipping out. The Emperor, which will be Putin. Law and order. Over this land. Yeah, I'm picking up this quite strongly now. Over this land in Ukraine. I don't know what the energy's like in Ukraine, but I'm feeling as though something is seeded there that is quite important, linked into the rebirth of our world. There is an energy there that is very powerful, very embryonic, I hear. And the Emperor wants to come in and crush it. Now, I don't know whether this is also linked into resources. It may very well be natural resources, but it's more than that. All countries have a collective energy, and it feels as though there is something within the land in Ukraine that is prized. It's almost, it's like a magical, it's a magical land. There's energy there that this guy wants to harvest. Give me a card for the Ukrainian people, please. Give me a card for the Ukrainian people. Give me a card, please, for the Ukrainian people. The world. They are ready to finish a cycle to begin anew. If you look at that card as well, again, we've got the divine feminine energy in an embryonic state, young. She's holding the infinity sign above her head. She's surrounded by indigo light, representing the void. The void links into what wishes to be birthed. It's also protected by white light. The Ukrainian people are ready to come out of a cycle that they've been in and enter anew. I doubt that is about them being invaded. I mean, I just can't see how it would be. So let me just have clarification, please. One more card for the Ukrainian people, please. Show me the energy of the Ukrainian people. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, it's what I'm saying. I'm quite surprised by this, just because I don't know anything about Ukraine. There is the energy in Ukraine where they are completing a cycle and they're moving on to a new, but this is really about dimensional realities. It's like, this is new earth energy. Look at it. This is like new earth energy, one that is there within Ukraine. So what's going to happen is the old patriarchal energy, represented by Putin here, wants to come in and crush it, wants to come in and contain the elements that are there. The elements that are here are just about freedom, lightness, expansion, moving into the new. The Emperor doesn't want any of that. He wants to put all of those elements back into the box and clamp the box tightly down like that. But, you know, these two are very powerful arcana cards for the Ukrainian people. It feels as though if he comes in and invades, he will never crush the spirit of these people. Never, ever, ever will he be able to crush the spirit of these people. Indomitable, I'm hearing, indomitable spirit. They will always rise back up. I'm actually hearing it's an unwinnable war. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't come in and claim it But it means that it's the type of thing whereby, but it's actually ultimately unwinnable. Because, again, I'm going to reference the Merlin series that I'm watching again at the moment, or for the first time. There's this, one of the episodes is when Morgana, the queen, claims the crown, okay? She claims the throne, but she can't succeed because she never captures the hearts and the minds and the allegiance of the people that she wishes to govern, okay? And so ultimately she fails. And this is what I'm feeling here. It's like these people will never bend over to the rule that wants to come in again from the emperor. So this is a mighty battle. This is energetic. This is dimensional. This is about old Earth versus new Earth. This is old patriarchy versus the new way. I will just try and fire up my computer as I'm talking to you because I can't pause my camera because I am recording on my phone. I'm just quite interested to see what the Ukrainian leadership looks like, because there's got to be a powerful Ukrainian woman somewhere. Ukraine. It's the second largest country in Europe after Russia. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, Ukraine government. Oh, there's a lady. Okay, I can't find it quickly, and you can maybe put it in the comments below. Okay, it is a man, the current president. Vladimir Zelensky. Excuse my pronunciation. Well, I don't know who this woman is, but there's a woman. Maybe he's got a divine feminine energy. I've got no idea. But anyway, I'm just the person passing on the messages here. Right. Well, those three cards just shot out of the deck. Did you see what just happened? I didn't even ask the question of the cards. They're literally just shooting out before I can even ask a question. So let's just put them up. We've got the Knight of Swords, we have the Hierophant, and we have the Five of Cups. If we just read those very literally, the Knight of Swords charges in, and thinks that they are right. Okay, they think that they're right. The Knight of Swords, you know, he's holding up his sword of truth, thinks that it's a virtuous fight, a righteous fight, you know, truth and justice, all of that, but is going to be taught something by the Hierophant. This whole experience of charging in is going to teach something. Ultimately, it leads to a Five of Cups moment, which is linked into disillusionment. It's an unsatisfactory outcome. That is at conflict with this card, the Six of Wands, which is keep the red flag flying. The Five of Cups. Show me the outcome for Putin, please. Let's have short-term and long-term. Show me the outcome for Putin. Judgment. And then on the bottom of the deck, we've got the Queen of Wands energy. There is a woman. Somewhere there's a woman. I don't know whether she's already on the world stage or whether she's not necessarily in hiding, but she's just biding her time. There is a powerful female energy that, and I feel it's not just energy, it's also a figurehead that is going to be rising up. And look, she's wearing the red dress. She's wearing the red dress now. But this is somebody who is able to understands the red energy and knows how to channel it better than predecessors. I have no idea what time scale this is in, but I am picking this up. But ultimately it leads to judgment for him. Let's just have a little look at the book, what it says about this particular card. Number 20. Judgment. This is the Insight Tarot that I'm using. It's a great deck. And actually, is this guy Russian who created it? Stanislav Reshepnikov. I think he might be. That's the Insight Tarot. Actually, I'm going to ask whether the Russian people are behind this invasion as well. But anyway, Judgment. So this was about Putin. It's to do with awakening, spiritual transformation. So this is part of Putin's path for some reason. It seems to be that he... Apologies for the music. I don't know where that's coming from. It seems to be a moment of revelation for him. Rebirth. Oh, he's trying to rebirth himself. That's what I'm hearing. I'm going to close that window. Come with me whilst I close the window. It's a neighbour playing music. He wants this moment. He's using this as an opportunity to rebirth. Okay, that's what I'm hearing. That's what he thinks this is going to do. Whether he's feeling as though his power is waning or he needs to reassert himself, this is what he's hoping, that it leads to some form of new phase, awakening. But let's just have another look at that, because then we've got the Queen of Wands. Give me clarification on the Judgment card, please. How does this play out for Putin personally? I'm asking short and long term, wasn't I? Short term. Show me short term. Eight of Swords. I keep hearing like Vietnam. This is what it feels like. It's like a Vietnam type war, which is that ultimately the USA had to pull out of Vietnam because it was an unwinnable war. That's what I'm feeling this is. Might very well go in all gung-ho and take territory, but short term, Ace of Swords, long term for Putin. Death. Death. Nobody wins. Nobody wins. Nobody wins. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the card into focus. Nobody wins. It's an unwinnable war. Bloody pointless. All for, you know, the playing out of the patriarchal energy again in our world. When are we going to be tired of this? What do the Russian people feel about this? Show me the energy of the Russian people. Show me the energy of the Russian people towards this. The Nine of Wands. For it. I'm not sure. Hold on. Show me the energy of the Russian people towards this. The Lovers. The Two of Cups. It's almost like they don't have a choice. Okay. It's almost like there's a big portion of the population within Russia who are still almost like love struck by the Putin energy. The Nine of Wands in this depiction is quite interesting because this is saying that they will support him, but it's interesting that one of the wands that is picked up to fight the good fight is already damaged. It's almost like it feels as though the money spent on this war, one of the arms that's, you know, used, it's like it's taking from the weak in the country, taking from the people that which they need elsewhere. Okay, guys, let's just bring in the energy then of peace and the Holy Spirit and the angels just to help this whole situation. It's I do think it's going to be playing out, and you know, we're just going to have to hold the line and send strength to our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. And, you know, ultimately there's going to be members of the Russian troops that won't want to be doing this as well, because the consciousness on our planet is changing, and people one by one are starting to wake up more and more to the fact that we're all actually being played by the devil a lot of the time. You know, the devil is in our midst, and the devil wants war, and the devil wants retribution, and the devil wants division, and the devil wants bloodshed. And until we start snipping these, you know, these strings and coming back to our fellow man and seeing each other as equal, the Hermit card, going within and seeing that we are all equal, war's going to keep carrying on. So anyway, that is the Ukraine. Let the light in there. Let the light in. Okay, now what else did I say I was going to talk about? I said I was going to talk about the situation in Canada. Okay, situation in Canada is quite interesting because, let me just show you the globe to explain this. Maybe 4 months ago, 6 months ago, can't remember, I channeled something through for Australia. And at that time, Australia, there was going to be some trucker strikes in Australia. This was linked into standing up against the mandatory VAX. They didn't want it, or a portion of them didn't want it. And so they were standing up for the choice to say no. I remember channeling it through and saying something along the lines of, this could bring the government down. Now, it didn't. And I think that the strike maybe fizzled out. I don't know quite what happened to it. It certainly didn't make any news. So I don't think it's an ongoing situation. I may be wrong. But this is the thing, though, about energy. Energy, particularly when it has been futile somewhere, will then find another place to go to try again. And that's what's happening now in Canada. So the energy that I was picking up in Australia is now in Canada. And whether it can bring the Canadian government down or not, I don't know. We'll pull some cards in a moment. But if it's futile there, it will then find another way to, another place to flow into around the world. It will probably next be the USA. It's a bit like if you are a creative person and you get given by spirit, for example, an amazing idea for a new book, okay, or a painting or a piece of music, and you sit on it for 10 years, you know, and you don't ever do anything with it. But that guidance was so strong because it was going to be a channeled piece of work. Spirit doesn't just think, oh, that's a shame. That was a really good thing that could have happened, but, you know, they never did anything about it, so, oh, well. No, that's not what happens. Spirit will then give that to somebody else. They'll give it to somebody else. It's like passing the baton on. So this is what's going on with regards to the situation in Canada now with the truckers. And some of my followers are telling me that in parts of Canada, of course, Canada's a huge old country, where it's starting to hit along the US border, some of the supplies are starting to get low. And that is what will happen. But, you know, be sensible, share what you've got with each other. I said to somebody on my Instagram page yesterday, go back to the days of your ancestors. You don't have to go back very far. Go back to the days of your grandmothers and great-grandmothers. And they were great at being able to make meals out of very, very little. You know, we're all terribly spoiled, myself included in this world. You go into a supermarket and you see 10 brands of pepper or, you know, 20 brands of pasta. It's nonsense. You don't need all of that choice. But equally, you know, I'm being shown now the larder that our grandmothers used to have. And they had all the basics in there. They had the flour, the sugar, the butter, eggs, whatever. You know, they made things from scratch. So, you know, some of the ready meals might not be there, but the basics can be shared, is what I'm hearing. All right. So let's just have a look at Canada. Let me just tune into this. It's interesting. The one spray of mine that I've picked up is the ancestral healing spray. And I feel as though if you're in Canada and you're struggling with the situation there and the mandates, or just the energy of your country, you know, whether you're for or against having this, ultimately, I don't know, if a country's energy is out of balance, it affects everybody. Whatever side of the debate you're on, it affects everybody. Somebody sent me a video from, I think it was Australia yesterday, and it was a lady, it basically was 5 policemen who basically came into a cafe to check people's passes. And a lady obviously was in there who maybe shouldn't have been in there because she hadn't had her you-know-what. So she very quietly got up and just walked out, you know, without making a fuss. She just walked out. And I think they followed her out, and basically, anyway, it ended up that she was carted off in a police van. And I think it was the owner of the cafe that had filmed the piece of film that's now gone viral around the world, because she was treated really appallingly. And one of the charges that they've levied against her is that she didn't give her name and address, even though in the video she's clearly saying to them her name and address and wanting to give it to them, giving them, saying that she would be happy to give her name and address. Anyway, the whole point is, so both sides of the debate should be appalled at that, because you could see there were people sitting around having their cups of cappuccino, watching this whole spectacle play out. Ultimately, really, if you really at a human level, and we're all one, if you really feel into that, even if you've had your you-know-what, if you're seeing a woman who looks a bit like me, just a normal, respectable woman, she didn't look like some thug or anything, she hadn't got a, Kalashnikov gun in her hand, nothing, just a regular woman like me, carted off in the back of a police van. Are you really going to be enjoying your cup of coffee? I mean, I wouldn't. So, yeah, it's just interesting, isn't it, how we have, that's what I'm feeling for Canada. It's like the imbalance of the energy there, and both sides of the debate, ultimately it's hurting you. So needing Canada to come back together, and I'm feeling as though the ancestors are here in Canada, very much trying to help with that, and also trying to bring their wisdom up from the earth, the indigenous ones, the elders, the people on sacred land. Again, there was another video I got sent this week, and it was from Canada. I think it could have been somewhere in Ontario, somewhere near there. And again, police officers coming into a cafe, you should be closed, all the rest of it. And this lady stands up to them and she says, I need to make money. I need money for my children. I can't survive, or something like that. And the 5 policemen just said, no, you're going to be charged. You're going to be charged. The whole restaurant's watching this play out. And then she says to them something along the lines of, okay, well, what are the charges you're going to be levying against me? And they can't even tell her what the charges are. They've marched in there. They don't even know what the charges are. They're just enforcing it. So you're actually enforcing something that you don't even know what you're enforcing. I mean, that's the madness we're now in. Anyway, they eventually walk out and they're shaking their heads. And the point I'm trying to make is that she's really strong. She follows them out. She says, you're on sovereign land. You've got no right to come in and tell me what I can do. She's absolutely in her power. And again, the people in the restaurant that are there, they applaud her. It's linked into, we all have to just try and come together, don't we? Anyway, guys, let's just pull a couple of cards for Canada, because this was only supposed to be a 15-minute video, and we're now nearly on to 40. Maybe I need my own chat show. God, I'd be terrified of that, actually. It's one thing doing it sitting here in your bedroom. Well, I'm not in my bedroom, I'm in my office, but it's a whole other thing being on some TV. Actually, years ago, I was told you are going to end up on some sort of chat show or TV, and I'm like, no. That actually is another video I'm going to be doing in the next few days for you. I will do Canada in a moment. I've just got to tell you this. The other card that I was writing, the channeled writing yesterday, was Denial, Peter, Denial. And the painting is just him. He's like that. He's like, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So the whole thing about denial at the moment, denial of each other, is massive. Thing with denial is Jesus forgave Peter, all of it. And then he learnt from his denial. He learnt from what it meant when he denied his truth, his light, who he was. This is the thing, he was scared of public reaction. He was scared of not following the crowd, of the day. He would have been persecuted, so he hid and he denied Christ. But yet the more we deny ourselves, who we really are and what we really believe, it leads to a sticky place. Right, come on, what am I doing here? Canada. Let's have a few cards for the truckers. Is this actually the right deck for Canada? I don't feel it is, I'm going to go to a different deck. Yeah, let's go to this deck. This is the Japanese Tarot by Nino Japanese. I always pronounce the name wrong. Apologies. You know what I'm like with names. It's one of my favourite decks, this. Let's see. Let's get a bit of light coming in for Canada. I really want to come back to Canada. Come on. I will come back to Canada. You see, this is the thing. We have to be very positive and affirm in the present tense that these good things are coming back into our life, i.e. freedom. The Chariot, as I said that. Okay, Canada. Over and above what I've already said about Canada a few videos back, let's have a look at the truckers. Okay, Metatron, just show me the energy of the truckers in Canada who are doing whatever they're doing these strikes or blockades. Show me the energy of the truckers in Canada. 9 of Wands, which would be the 9 of Swords. That's an unusual card to get for that. Let me see if I can understand what that means. 9 of Swords, oh, sorry, okay. 9 of Swords in a traditional tarot is the card of anxiety and fear. You know, it's usually the one where the depiction is usually the person up at night and they're worried, you know, they're worried. So it's a card of fear. The Devil. I pick up that the men and women, assuming there are female truckers as well, that are doing this work, are very much standing up for what they truly believe in, which is that they really fear these mandatory rules and where they can lead. They feel that this is a move away from the light. They are afraid of what they are standing up to. They know the strength of what they're standing up to. They feel quite defenseless and vulnerable, naked, doing so. But are doing so anyway. That card just flew out of the deck, which is the 3 of Fire. Look at the difference between those two energies. The Devil is the energy of feeling trapped. I mean, ultimately, they're feeling trapped because their back is against the wall and they're being asked to do something that they don't wish to have done to their body. They wish to be like this energy, which is being free. This is the card of freedom. And indeed, in the Christ Consciousness deck that I am doing, the card of freedom has got a hot air balloon in it. Okay, come on. I haven't got it to show you to hand, but it's a hot air balloon with somebody in a basket. In fact, I think I could have even based it on this card, or it was, you know, it was influenced by this card. It's not an exact replica of this card. So freedom, standing up to a lower energy that wishes to trap and enslave. Sorry, I'm not trying to use inflammatory words, but that's what I'm picking up. That's what they are feeling, okay? That's what they are feeling. Show me the... show me the consequences of their action. Do they achieve anything with these blockades? What do they achieve with these blockades? What do they achieve with these blockades? The 10 of Tides and the Hierophant. Again, it's really interesting, isn't it? We had the Hierophant coming up just now for Putin, which is sort of like, I know it's a totally different scenario, but, you know, the Hierophant is the card where we learn something. We're learning something through this. What is the consequence of their actions? They're bringing in teaching. They're trying to teach something. They're trying to show something. The 10 of Tides would be the 10 of Cups in a traditional deck. I'm wanting to interpret this that they're standing up for the light. They're standing up for the light. Look at that light. Look at the sun. The 10 of Cups is traditionally a very happy card. It's the card of the family, of the home, of love, of abundance. There's teaching coming in with regard to what does happiness look like. It's linked into what I was just talking to you about in terms of those two stories I shared about the two videos. How can you be happy having your cup of coffee and your little catch up with your friend because it's okay, I can show my past, so I'm all right, Jack. What about the other lady that's just been forced into the back of a police van? Are you really comfortable with that? If you are, I don't know what to say to you, quite frankly. But this is what this is trying to teach. It's bringing through some teaching, because why they are blockading and why they are on protest is because of this issue. This issue, mandatory, you have no choice. If you don't do it, you're out of a job, or, you know, as that lady in Australia found out, you're in the back of a police van. How far will this energy go, this devil energy? Again, in Australia, I'm not making any of this up, it made the UK news yesterday. There is a chain of supermarkets, interestingly, based around Uluru, that have just started to bring in a ban for anybody that hasn't had the you-know-what. You can't shop there for your food anymore, okay? You really think that's okay? Look at the shops that are banning people from doing that in this particular chain. Around Uluru, Uluru is the solar plexus energy of the whole world, with also Cape Town, South Africa. It's on that line. It's on that line, okay? It's absolutely trying to clamp down on the power, on our wisdom. That's what solar plexus energy is. Power, sovereignty, standing up, wisdom, all of that. Right around that area is where they're bringing in the strongest restrictions. It's clear as day where this all leads if we don't stand up to that. Show me the effect that they have on the Canadian government. Does this trucker blockade have any effect on the Canadian government? Does the blockade have any effect on the Canadian government? Does the Canadian blockade have any effect on the Canadian government? The 4 of fire and the 7 of fire. Seven and 4 make 11. 11 of fire doesn't actually exist, but I've just created it. Could you get 2 more opposing energies? This is the energy that wants to pretty much burn at the stake those that don't comply, versus those that do. You can have a lovely, happy time. Everything's fine in your world, but these guys over here, these are the villains. Does that figure in the fire remind you of anybody? Does this have any impact on Trudeau? You probably saw the way that I just did that. I just want to take what I've got here. Death. And we've got the Tower and the Stranger of Fire. This isn't physical death. I think if they can continue the action, there could be very well be a Tower moment. It's pretty powerful energies there. There could be a Tower moment for the government. They might be forced to change by the Stranger of Fire, the one that they least expected. They weren't expecting these guys to stand up to them. But, as I say, I've said this before in Australia and it fizzled out. So if it doesn't happen in Canada, the energy of these guys, the collective energy of the truckers, it will move somewhere else. I'm actually hearing France as well, okay? But I'm also feeling USA. The truckers are a force in the world to be reckoned with. And if they're not able to make progress in Canada, the cause will be picked up somewhere else, because ultimately the world's distribution of food relies on these guys. Not solely, but a big part of the distribution of the world relies on these guys. Okay? They have power. The truckers have power. Distribution is where the new war is going to be fought. Okay, anything else to say on Canada? Let's try and give Canada a bit of hope. Anything else to say on Canada? 2 cards, please. And then I need to go. Eight of Fire, the simmering volcano. The priestess, the high priestess on the bottom of the deck, something you can't see coming. What you can't see coming is the energy of love. There's also the card of Judgment there. Judgment, love, the high priestess. We also had the Eight of Fire was the first card that came out for Australia. The volcano is about to blow. Symbolically. For the Three of Cups to come in, which is the energy of reunion. We've also got the energy of love. But it comes in slightly unexpectedly. There's a judgment moment. I just cut the deck and I picked up the Empress. And what was going through my head as I did that was I was thinking the return of love to Canada, the Empress. The Empress will always win. Always, always, always. And the Empress loves all of her children. The Empress doesn't shun her parts of, or some of her children. The Empress loves all her children. A mother loves all her children, and a mother has unconditional love for all her children. And she shows that, and she demonstrates that, and she models that. She will help bring the warring parties back together. Look for the rising women in our world, politically, socially, in all of the major, sectors, and the men who also hold that feminine energy as well. Take care, lots of love. I need to now go and have a cup of coffee before I go out and take my mum to the dentist. Take care, everybody. Much love. Thank you for your support. Please like and share this video. Bye-bye for now. Bye.